Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming, for taking the time. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. So I started volunteering here at Center for Spiritual Awakening around 8 years ago, maybe. And as soon as I started, I had a vision that I would be talking here. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's just settle in. And I want everyone to take a deep breath through your nose. Just one. And then out your mouth like you're blowing through a straw. Just settle in. Beautiful. And I want you to look around maybe, just a tiny bit. Look around very carefully and attentively. Like you haven't seen this chair before. Really pay attention to where you see. Okay? Okay, now I want you to close your eyes. And listen to this to the end. Now I want you to go to your mouth and see if you taste anything. Like an aftertaste. Just pay attention to the sense of taste. Now go to touch. See where your hands are touching. Pay attention. Just nothing else matters, just the sense of touch. Where your hands are touching, where your feet are touching. The touch point of your clothes. Just pay very close attention to those points. Now go to smell. Smell. Like nothing else matters, just the sense of smell. Beautiful. Now I want you to go inside and scan inside your body from the top of your head to the tip of your toes. Pay attention. Is there any tightness? Do you need to maybe sit upright? What does your body tell you? Pay attention to your body, your bodily sensations. Now I want you to bring your attention to the sensation of your breathing on your chest, where your chest goes up and down as you breathe in and out. Beautiful. I love it that someone is holding their hand on their heart. You can do that too. Just put your hand on your heart and pay attention to that sensation. As soon as you're aware of a thought, effortlessly let go and come back to that sensation where the chest goes up and down. Oops, I'm thinking. Imagine it's a cloud. Let the cloud pass. You're the sky. Come back to that sensation on your chest. Beautiful. Now I want you to open your eyes very slowly and have a soft gaze somewhere. Very soft. But maintain your awareness on your chest. So you're watching, but your awareness is on your chest. This is dual awareness. Beautiful. Now come back to me. Raise your hand if you just felt a little bit settled, grounded, like everything is okay, really. No? Okay, fantastic. So what you just did towards the end, so at the beginning we did the wheel of awareness or mindfulness. It's a mindfulness exercise. You can start your day with just activating these 5 senses and just settle into your body. Okay? The second part of the exercise, where I ask you to bring your attention on your chest. As soon as you're aware of a thought, just let go and come back to your chest. This is mindful breathing, which is the most fundamental exercise for mindfulness, okay? And guess what? I have a passion for it. I actually did my PhD dissertation in mindfulness. And I found out only 3 1-minute mindful breathing micro breaks, I call them micro breaks, throughout the day increases present moment attention, well-being, recovery of from stress. So you can do it, as you saw, you can do it with open eyes. While you're driving, just pay attention to the car in front of you. As soon as you're aware of your thoughts, sensations, just effortlessly let go and you come back to the car. Because you were watching something, right? So we have all these anchors to bring ourselves to the present moment. Now, let's go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So why is that? Why did you feel relaxed? It's because of something called automatic negative thoughts, or ants. So they creep and crawl in our brain, and they actually deplete our resources. And we feel tired, we feel stressed, okay? So when we are mindful breathing or mindful living, and we are just bringing our attention to the taste of the food in my mouth, for example, then I just let go of those ants in my brain and say, no, thank you. I want to pay attention to the taste of the food. Okay? And when I was doing my dissertation, I found in a peer-reviewed article that mindfulness is the tool to end suffering. Did you hear me? End suffering. And I even wanted to put it on my dissertation, and my supervisor said, no, that's too drastic. Put ameliorate, or make it better. I said, okay, fine, I'll put it, but it says end. So when we do mindfulness, when we have mindful living, we are actually releasing, we are dismantling these ants, automatic negative thoughts. Okay? So what is the important thoughts, though? All right? I want you to, again, close your eyes. Close your eyes. I want you to imagine to go to your room, to your house, to go to the kitchen. I want you to go to the kitchen. Everyone is in the kitchen? I want you to open the fridge, and I want you to grab a lemon or lime. Imagine you have it. Okay, I want you to cut it, and I want you to squeeze it on your tongue. Did you want everyone squeeze? Yes, yes, yes. Open your eyes. Come back to me. Who salivated? What happened? We got a physiological response. Our body got a response from just a thought. That is how our thoughts are important. They actually make our life. We create our life because of these thoughts. Let's go to the next slide, Michael. So this is the psychological reason. Every thought leads to a feeling, and every feeling leads to a behavior. Literally, we are made up of these thoughts. Our life is made up of these thoughts. And unfortunately, most of them, I want to say all of them, are unconscious unless we do mindfulness and mindful breathing. We don't know. I'm a meditator of 30 years, but because I didn't do mindful breathing, I didn't know until I started my dissertation specifically on mindfulness. I'm like, let me see what these papers are talking about. What are these thoughts? I was like so overwhelmed. Like, my goodness, what's going on in my mind? And unfortunately, most of them are negative or positive? Negative. That's why they're called ants. Okay? Okay, ants are beautiful, positive. Don't get me wrong, I love ants. All right, so now, literally, our life resides between our two ears. There's nothing outside, I'm telling you. Nothing. We don't get upset, triggered, frustrated, angry about anything or anyone on the outside. We get irritated, sad, upset because of our interpretation of those events. And the interpretations reside between our ears. That's scary, huh? But it's also empowering because it's our skull and our brain, right? We can have control over them. Now, let's not go to the next slide. How many thoughts do you think we have a day? 60,000. Okay, I want to say, please, no clients of mine should answer that because they probably know. But you're not my client. Fantastic. Between 30,000, we can go to the next one, and 100,000, okay, on average per day. Most of them are negative. See, 95% repetitive and 85% negative. And they're usually regrets from the past and worries about the future. Nothing. We don't do anything in the present moment. We're either in the past or in the future. We're almost never in the present moment. Maybe when we're watching the sunset, unless we do mindfulness, by the way. But if you don't do that, maybe when we watch a sunset or a sunrise, it's so majestic. Yeah, just a second. If you eat like the most scrumptious food, maybe just the first morsel, like 10 seconds. We don't actually taste. We just shove it in our throat. Okay, we don't taste. We don't enjoy. Okay, we don't use our 5 senses at all, barely. We are almost like robots. I'm so sorry to tell you, but this is the reality. Okay, this is a bitter truth. So these are some of the examples of some of the ants. I'm not good enough, and bear with me. Just bear in mind that these thoughts are very, very, very unconscious, okay? We're not going to think consciously, I'm not good enough. It's very deeply, deeply seated in our subconscious. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable enough. I'm not competent enough. People are there to get me. Life is cruel, unfair, unsafe. I have to have more, do more, and be more to be happy. And my favorite, I have to be perfect to be accepted. Okay? Not my favorite, actually, least favorite, but it's my ant. I'm a perfectionist, okay? And it really nags on you if you don't take charge of those ants, okay? So now, why do we have these ants or these beliefs? Because when we have these thoughts, the thoughts that we think over and over and over and over again, they become beliefs. They become self-beliefs, okay? Why do you think we have them? What is the reason? I'm going to tell you. You don't have to answer. From 0 to 7 years old, our brainwave frequency is very, very low. So our brain is very malleable, very suggestible, like in hypnosis. How does hypnosis work? They make you relax, the brainwave calms down, okay? And then you become suggestible, all right? So now, in childhood, from 0 to 7 specifically, and then to 12, we are like that. We are like, kind of like zombies, or no, I don't want to say zombies. We might be zombies right now. Actually, my mentor calls us zombies. It's very, very harsh. But when we are little, we are in hypnotic state, okay? And we just like a sponge, and we just a little frown, a yell, whatever, even rewarding things, okay, get really ingrained in our psyche, all right? And our ego defense mechanism gets formed there. And I'm going to talk about it a lot more. But unfortunately, we are carrying this mechanism to adulthood, okay? So we are literally little children with big bodies, okay, most of the time, unless we do mindfulness, okay? Unless we, P.A.U.S.E. By the way, everyone should have this because we're going over this, all right? So I want to give you an example for this, how these childhood experiences make us, okay? And you might think, or maybe, I don't know, hitting, yelling, in some cases, molestation in childhood. These are the things that will create trauma, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Even if Dalai Lama had a child, the child will be traumatized, most probably, because it's very, very difficult. And every little thing we say and do gets absorbed in the brain of the child and becomes part of their identity, okay? I'm gonna give you an example, which is very interesting. I saw it 2 weeks ago at the mall. And there was this grandpa who bought a cake pop. You know what cake pop is from Starbucks? And he bought it, and he wanted to offer it to his 3-year-old granddaughter, okay? And he was like, who's done this? And he was giving it, and who's done this? Like this kind of game with a child? Who's done it? Raise your hand. Yeah, probably, like, my culture would do it a lot. What happens? Although it's a game, it seems to be positive, no? But unfortunately, what does the child learn? I cannot trust. I cannot trust. Oh my God, how about next time? Will I get it? Will I not get it? So every little thing, at the beginning when I learned these things, I'm like, oh my gosh, I should just stop talking because whatever comes out of my mouth, even when we praise, for example, a child draws something and say, wow, that's so beautiful, let me hug you. What happens? It becomes conditioned in their brain. I have to do something. I have to accomplish something to be loved. I deserve my mom's kiss and smile because I have done something good. Do you see what I'm saying? It's very, very scary, but at the same time empowering, all right? So now I'm gonna give you another example. Let's go to the next slide. It's a fun slide. So I'm gonna give you an example with a baby elephant. When, it's not a nice story, but baby elephants is kind of cruel, but when they have them in circuses or any other settings, they tie when they're baby, okay, when they're little, they tie their leg to a pole, okay? And the elephant tries so hard to pull it down, but he can't because he's very, very small. He's not strong enough, right? What happens when he grows up? Isn't he so heavy and strong and he can pull it down like that? But do you think the elephant will try? No, because he's conditioned, he cannot pull down the pole, and he won't even try. That's how we're carrying these mechanisms to adulthood, right? The bottom line is that most of these programs are fear-based, okay? All of it are fear-based. All right, so we are literally those robots who are acting, talking, sending that email, chatting, whatever, out of fear. Okay, so now we need a roadmap. If you're lucky enough, we get to, I don't know, to find a book, a class, someone, a mentor, a teacher, say, oh my goodness, I've been asleep. I've been kind of a robot or zombie, as my mentor says. And I have to rewire. I have to rewire this fear from my brain from fear to love, to peace. That is our essence. Didn't you experience it at the beginning? It's like you weren't even you. I'm sure. If you did what I told you, really, you wouldn't have even identified with your gender, with your role. You're just observing. That's your essence. That's our essence. That peaceful, limitless, full potential state, right? That's who we are. But unfortunately, because of all these busyness of the world and all these fears, we kind of identify with these thoughts. But if I ask you, if I lose my pinky, am I still me? Of course I am. But thoughts, we identify with them. I'm this, I'm that, okay? But what is a thought? It's just an electric signal between two neurons, right? In the brain. It's just like my pinky. It's not me, right? So that's how we become empowered again to, no matter how the thought is like, that is it. He did that because of that, and she did that, and the government, and the weather, and whatever. And we believe them, right? We believe them. But they're just thoughts. Okay, and we're going to see what to do with them. So this book came about probably 8 years ago. I resigned from my engineering job. I was an engineer before. And then I resigned, and I'm like, I don't want to do this until I die. I want to find my life purpose. What am I good at? So I asked my friends, what am I good at? Most of them said that I'm a good teacher. I'm like, okay, maybe I could be a computer, I don't know, instructor or something. But then I fell into this journey of self-discovery and all those things, and I became a life coach, and I got my PhD in psychology. You'll read it, and that's right. So, and during these 8 years, because of my struggles, everyone has struggles, right? I'm sure Dalai Lama does too. So, especially with parenting and all those things, I started really introspecting, researching tons and tons of courses and certificates and all those things. And through, as I was helping my clients and in my own life, I came up with a 5-step system, which is on your bookmark. Literally, it's a step-by-step system, because all these courses that I took, they were they were part of a puzzle, but it didn't make sense to me because I'm an engineer. I wanted a system. What do I do now? When I'm a professor right now, what should I do? What's the first step I have to do, right? So I kind of developed it throughout the years to make it really work for me and my clients, okay? And then I wrote the book. So one of the examples I want to bring you, one of the things that I learned that actually originates with a thought. Let's go to the next one. Oh, so let's read this one. So as I said, these thoughts are unconscious. Carl Jung, who is a therapist, right, psychotherapist, says until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate, okay? So these thoughts, okay, create us, and we think, okay, that's my fate. It is what it is, right? But again, we have to become aware of these thoughts, question them, and do some stuff as we're talking about it right now, okay? So let's go to the next slide. All right, so one of these examples I want to tell you, and this is the cover of the book, is when I learned that there's an electromagnetic field around the heart. Around 3 feet. It's been measured, and I think it's way more. It's like infinite probably. But it's been measured to 3 feet around the heart that affects everything and everyone around us, okay? There's a movie called I Am. You can go check it out. And this research has been done in Santa Cruz, okay? So when I learned about this, where in this movie they had this magnetometer they connected it to a dish of yogurt, and then they asked the director to feel icky or angry, and what happened was that this this magnetometer's little gadget moved. So as he felt icky, the yogurt actually got affected. The yogurt got affected. I was like, whoa, this is really amazing. I have to, with the engineering mind, right? I have to experiment with it. And it was when my daughter, who usually came home with a kind of, grouchy face, I thought, okay, I'm just gonna, when she comes, I'm not gonna smile or anything. I'm just gonna remember when she was born and I didn't sleep for the whole night. I looked at her, right? I'm gonna just cultivate that love, that awe, that gratitude. Wow, she came through me. We don't do that, by the way, right? If you have children, we don't pause to do that. A little hint here. So, and I did that, and oh my gosh, I think it was like half of a second, she smiled. She smiled, and I was like done. I'm like, this is it. I know what everything is in my hand. It all depends on me, what I think, what I feel, right? All right, so now we are going to do a little break. Maybe just go back to the previous slide so you can wake up. I want you to all get up. So we're going to do something called energy medicine. This is another tool that I mentioned in the book that I want you to please Google. It's amazing, okay? You can put energy medicine, depression, energy medicine, I don't know, whatever, headache, all right? So, and there will be a movement for it, all right? And there's an energy medicine routine as well, okay? So you just follow what I do. So I want you to put one hand on your shoulder, and I want you to take a deep breath and just trace diagonally. Just deep breath and do it like squeeze, like you're giving yourself a good massage. Do it, do it. Self-care, right? All right. Deep breath, and I want you to tap and deep breath, okay? Tap, 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 breathe. Tap here. And tap in the middle. This is a gland that actually strengthens the immune system. Am I correct? Nurse practitioner here. Just deep breath, tap, 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 really hard. Don't be gentle, really hard, okay? And go here. Exactly, there you go. That's what, thank you for reminding me. That's what gorillas do. Ooh, they feel powerful, right? Or like this, right? They do this, they're just tapping, right? There you go, thank you. I wanted to mention it, I forgot. So now you go like you cross like this. Deep breath, deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. Good. Now I want you to find your belly button with your finger and press it in, and your third eye, press it in and pull it up. Pull it up, deep breath. Beautiful. Now prayer pose, okay? Now I want you to just stretch really hard. Just connect. It's like you're connecting heaven on earth to earth. Just connect, connect. Come back one more time. Just stretch really hard. One more set. Good. And another one. Stretch, stretch. Beautiful. Come back here. Stretch like your lotus flower. I want you to open like that. Like you're a lotus flower. Become a lotus. Become a lotus. Beautiful. Now I want you to draw a heart on your body. Draw a heart on your body. Trace it. This brings joy. This is a joyful, when you do this, you feel joy, don't you? It's like, ooh. Right? Right? Now I want you to do it outside your body like this. Like a heart, right? And I want you to give it to each other. Give it to each other. Beautiful. Lovely. Thank you. You can sit. Thank you. How was it? Was it good? Did the energy move? Yay! So if you type in energy medicine routine, start your day with this. And kids love it. Okay? My kids did it. I forced them a little bit, but they loved it. Because I know they loved it because they wouldn't do the meditation when I forced them. They did this one. Okay. So now let's go to the 5-step system, okay? By the way, there's going to be tons of information. I already talked a lot, okay? So Michael, the most amazing musician, is actually recording me, and I can send you this clip. There's a sign-up sheet. If you can put your email, if you want to put your email there, I will email it to you when it's ready, okay? Sounds good? So you don't have to worry. So it will be like a synopsis of the book, and you don't have to read it. No, you have to read it. Okay, because there are exercises in here, all right? You can fill it out. It's really cool. All right, let me just take a sip. So the first step is, can we all say it? P is for pause and breathe, and we did this a little bit. Why is pausing important? And we're going to have different tools for pausing. Like, I'm getting angry, and I have to pause. How do I do it? The best way is a mantra. And one of the best mantras is, this is not a life or death. Because we barely live in life or death situations. If your child is jumping into the street, that's life or death. Don't breathe. Just jump and grab them, okay? Or they touch the stove. Everything else can wait. Don't you agree? Yes. So this is not a life or death. This is not an emergency. These are some of the mantras that we can interrupt the pattern. And why is that important? Because when we get upset, triggered, frustrated, angry, all those things, we flip the lid. Oh, what is that? So this is the spinal cord. This is the fight or flight part of the brain at the back of the brain. And this is my smart brain. Okay? So this is the brain, you see, spinal cord, smart brain, okay? With smart brain, we have empathy, understanding, we can analyze, right? The fight or flight, it says it there, fight or flight, right? What kind of a brain is that? It's a child brain, as we talked about it, because it was built in childhood. So when we get triggered, upset, feel yucky, we flip the lid, which means we have no smart brain, which means we are that little child, that 3 or 4-year-old child. A 3-year-old doesn't have those tools to think, and the 3-year-old is like, give me that, and yells and bites, right? We become that. Oh my gosh, right? We become that, okay? So that's why we do all these mindfulness tools and other tons of tools in the book to bring that smart brain back online. So I can think, so I can become 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 7-year-old, right? Otherwise, I'm 3, 4. Okay, so now with mindfulness, when we do at least 10-minute mindful breathing, okay? So the reason I did the dissertation for 3 1-minute mindful breathing is because all my clients like, I don't have time, I don't want to sit for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I said, you know what? You have 3 1 minutes throughout the day, right? So we have to do it. I'm so sorry, but if we don't do it, then our brain doesn't learn to become aware of these thoughts. We have to do mindfulness and mindful breathing. It's a must. It's like brushing your teeth. Just bringing awareness to your chest. As soon as you're aware of a thought, thank you, I'm not thinking you, come back to breath. That's it. You're training your brain to not hang on to these ants. All right? So it's very important as you're eating, pay attention where you're eating the food. Can you taste the tip of your tongue, sides of your tongue, back of your tongue? Pay attention. First smell the food, then chew, maybe touch. Okay? So this is how we train the brain to be mindful. Let's go to the next one. Frankl, who was a therapist, and he has been to Auschwitz, actually. I'm going to give you a little tiny story, actually, it's in the book. He says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom, okay? And mindfulness helps us do that, okay? So he was in Auschwitz, and he was writing a book, and the Gestapo, they come and they grab the book, they burn the book, they rip off his, they ask him to take off his clothes, they take his wedding ring, and you know what he tells them? He says, you can take my book away, you can take my clothes away, you can take my wife away. What you cannot take away from me is how I react to these things. Okay? So that's the first step. So we need to, so that's the first step of pause. We need to pause with a mantra. So I want you to just pick your favorite mantra. There's a list of mantras in the book. And every situation could be different. But this is not an emergency. This is not a life or death. It's really good. But pick one from that list to interrupt so you can bring back your smart brain so that you can do the next steps. Because if you don't do this, do you remember I said I developed this? Like, I have to do this first. I can't go see other people's perspective, but I'm like, I'm a 2-year-old, right? I have to first bring back my smart brain. The next step, okay, so the next step, let's read out loud. A for? Okay, so the next step is A, accept, okay? So do you think anyone or anything can change this moment, just this moment? Anyone or anything, even if there's a God up there, some believe, some don't. If God comes down right now, here, can he change this moment? This moment right here? He can't, right? He might change the next moment, but not this moment. Do you see what I'm saying? So when we get triggered, the main reason is that we want this moment to be different. We want this moment to be different. But no one in this world, even God, cannot change this moment. So once we accept this, we don't resent and we don't resist this moment. Okay? What does it do? It frees up my energy so I can actually go to A.U.S.E. Pause. Okay? If I don't accept. If I want this moment to be different, then I'm just done. Like, I flip the lid, I'm done. I'm miserable. So I'm going to accept this moment. It doesn't mean I condone or I agree. I just accept this is the moment, okay? So now, the next step in this, the next phase of this step is feeling your feelings. Okay, this is very, very tricky. This is probably the most difficult thing we can do as humans. Why? Because when we were little, when we cried, nagged, yelled, what happened? Our parents probably punished us, or maybe they gave us ice cream, right? Okay, so what happened? Our defense mechanism learned to suppress these feelings because our parents were uncomfortable. So we somehow learned to not to feel. So we unlearned how to feel. Do you see what I'm saying? We don't know how to feel. We don't even know how to feel happy. We don't know how to feel. We think, we don't feel. Feeling is in the body. We don't know how to do it. It's the most difficult thing. You see a two-year-old cries, and the next moment she's happy, like nothing happened. We knew how to do it, but we forgot. Now something happens, our days are over, like 1 week, 10 days, right? It just propagates the future. So why? Because we're thinking about those ants. We are not feeling, okay? Let me tell you this. What do you think the maximum, I know some people know here, what's the maximum duration of each feeling? Give me a number. Those who know, don't say. I mean, my clients, not others. Sorry, say it. 3 days? Who said that? 3 days? Okay, what else? 5 minutes, seconds? Like a, say, how much? 5 milliseconds. Wow, I wish. 24 hours. Okay, it's maximum 90 seconds. Okay, maximum. Which means if you're good at it, you get good at it, you become a child again, you know how to feel. Maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds. So you just sit and I feel the feeling and it comes and goes. It's like the waves of the ocean. So the biggest mistake we make as humans is that the feeling is here to stay. No, they go, it leaves the body, it dissolves. Okay, it's very, very strange, but you have to do it. But take my word for it. So today when you go home, because it's very, very difficult, we could do it here, but when you go home, just sit at your bed and say, what kind of feeling do I have? How do I feel? Okay, and then find the feeling and feel it. Don't think about the story. Just feel the core energy of the feeling in your body. All right? And you'll see, oops, it's gone. Usually the first feeling transforms to the next one and then the next one. 3 feelings, maximum 3 feelings, you get to peace. And this is the book from a book called The Journey. I highly recommend it. She actually healed her basketball-sized tumor in her stomach by just doing this. Just felt the feelings inside that tumor, okay? It's amazing. You have to experience it. Don't take my word for it. So now let's go to the next one. So if we don't feel these healthy feelings like grief, anger, fear, envy, love, for example, this is by Neil Donald Walsh. I love it. I haven't read it in any scientific paper, but it's amazing. I think it's truthful. These are healthy human feelings, right? Grief, anger, fear, envy, love. But if you don't feel these healthy feelings, they turn into unhealthy emotions. There's a difference between feeling and emotion. Feeling is just a knowing in the body. Emotion is energy in motion. Like we act, we yell, something, our heartbeat goes up, something in motion. So if you don't feel our grief, it turns into depression. If you don't feel our anger, it turns into rage. We slam the door, yell. If you don't feel our fear, it becomes panic. So people who have anxiety, they have some sort of fear. They have to pause. What am I afraid of? And if you don't feel our envy, it turns into jealousy. And love, if you don't express and feel our love, it becomes possessiveness. So people who hoard or they're possessive about their spouses, they can't feel and express love, okay? Or even maybe emotional eating could be part of that. When you don't have love for yourself, could be that. I mentioned that there, but this is not coming from any scientific paper, but through my experiences, I've noticed that. All right, so that was A, accept the as-is and feel your feelings. Let's go to the next one. Let's go, U for. Okay, so now let me give you an example. Let's go to the next one. Okay, let's read this one. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Okay, so this is the base of this step, all right? Let me give you an example. When a boy cries, what do we usually tell them? Boys don't cry, right? Okay, so the boy learns, the ego defense mechanism learns to suppress the feeling. So now the wife comes and says, my husband doesn't show emotions. Well, because he doesn't know how. They're suppressed. You see what I'm saying? So this is the ego formation around these unmet needs. All right? So this is what we do in therapy. For years and years, we go to therapy to dig these programs out, and understand what's going on. And if you get this book and read it and really are faithful to the exercises, you might still need therapy sessions, but not as much. All right, so because we all need therapy, okay? Because we all have these unconscious programs. We just have to be aware of it. So these triggers are rooted, whatever trigger I have right now, are like if I get triggered by someone who's lying, okay? Lying is bad, right? But if I get really triggered, it shows something. It shows either I have a wound or I'm projecting, which means I'm a liar and I'm projecting and saying, no, you are lying. So whenever we get triggered, whenever we are triggered about anything or anyone, there is a wound inside. So the person or event is not cutting us. The cut has been done by our wonderful parents who didn't know themselves. They were also cut before. They are just poking with their pinky on that old wound. So if you're triggered, there's a wound. We have to look within, okay? So let me give you an example. For example, I had a client who hated ice cream. I'm like, what is up with that? Really? So we found out, we did an exercise that is in the book. The exercise in the book. You can write it out for yourself. We found out when she was having ice cream, when she was 3 years old, her parents were fighting with each other so loud on top of her. So now she's associating that bad memory to ice cream. Now she hates ice cream. So whatever we love or don't love or hate, whatever is going on, there is like a trace back to childhood, okay? So now here, what we need to do, we need to become aware of these and say, thank you, ego, sit at the passenger seat, I'm driving. That's literally what we say to the ego. We say, thank you for protecting me, sit here. Because ego is not bad. It was built to support us, to protect us when we're children, right? We don't want to hate it. So thank you. And then we talk to our inner child. And how do we talk to our inner child? Let's go to the next one. We say, thank you, I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry. We literally, I know it sounds so cuckoo, but we have to talk to our different parts of our brain. Literally, we have to. So we say, thank you for hanging in there. I'm sorry you're going through this. I'm sorry you're feeling jealous. I'm sorry you're sad. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. You're talking to your inner child. This is the most powerful technique I've come across in the past 8 years. Most powerful. No exaggeration. It's a clearing technique. It's an ancient Hawaiian technique, okay? One of the guys who passed away, I think 2 years ago, right? Dr. Hewlin passed last year. He healed, but just by reading the file of these criminal asylums in Hawaii, he healed them. They closed down the asylum just by doing this. So he said these to his inner child. And after we do this, we can actually say these words, these sentences to the inner child of the other person, because the other person is also struggling and hurting. And that's how we take responsibility. okay? Of everything, literally. But this is to the point, like, I don't want to please anyone, but I'm responsible. Thank you, I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry, right? It's a phenomenal tool, I love it. Okay, whenever I feel icky, I use Ho'oponopono. Actually, I said it in the paragraph. If you feel angry, use Ho'oponopono. If you do this, it's really cool. All right, so now let's go to the next step. S4, search for different perspectives. Now, here, this is the fourth step. Why? Because when I'm triggered and I have no smart brain, how can I see other perspectives? Right? We can't. So we have to go 1, 2, 3, and this is the fourth one. Okay? So let me give you a fun story. So Mullah Nasruddin is a really fun satirist. He was a Sufi from Iran, right? So he acted as a judge. And neighbor comes to him and he talks about his other neighbor. He says, he did this and he did that. And Mullah Nasruddin, he says, you're right. And the other neighbor comes to him and says, but you didn't hear my side of the story. He did and he did this and he did that. And I said, you're right. And the wife, who was hearing everything, he said, how can both men be right? He said, you're right. Right? Everyone is right. No one gets up in the morning and says, I am going to do the wrong thing. No one in this world, okay? No one. We are all trying our best. Even the criminal, even everyone with their conditioning, with their childhood trauma, with their self-beliefs. In that moment, they think that's the best thing to do, okay? And when we see it this way, do we suffer ever? Why he did that and she did that? No, because they did their best. I'm not going to take it personally. If I take it personally, I have a wound, okay? If I take it personally, I have a wound, all right? So now, let's go to the next one. Literally, no one sees the truth in this world. No one knows the truth. No one sees the truth. Everyone sees a version of the truth. We don't even see that color the same. We all see the world so differently. Okay? We are coming from these childhood traumas, conditioning, all those things. Okay? So expecting other people to see it our way, or there's a standard up there. There's no standard. Okay? There's no standard. All right. So now, let's explain it neuroscientifically. Our brain, I'm not sure, I haven't seen the research, but I've seen it somewhere, monitors our surrounding 5 times a second for possible threats, which means its only job is to find things that are going wrong. Worst possible scenarios. That's what we see in every situation. Worst possible scenario, worst, worst. There could be, like, I'm not even kidding, million of scenarios, but we pick the worst one and we stick with it. We believe it. In my classes, I have, for example, 30 people, and I'm going to write them. If, like, for example, I don't know, a person is upset with the husband, okay? And the person said, oh, he doesn't love me, for example, okay? When I ask 30 people find 30 different scenarios that are not that negative. They're all positive. But she picked the worst possible, because that's the mechanism of the brain. We have to become aware. If we are not aware, this is part of our brain, the fight or flight, then we are a victim. We don't know how to live. We have to understand this, okay? The worst possible scenario. So in relationships, it's tricky because there's miscommunication. The stuff that I'm telling you right now, I know you might get 30% of it, not more than that. Because some of the words you can't hear probably, some of the words you mishear, some of the words you misinterpret, maybe 30% of whatever I say you might, like, I know that. Okay, so that's very, very important, and we don't know that, right? So when behaviors happen in relationships, the best mantra is behavior is a form of communication. Okay, it's a symptom. Let's go to the next one. It's an iceberg. It's 5% at the top. That's a behavior, whatever. Teenager slams the door, husband says something, boss says something. It's just 5%. Underneath, there is, let's read them. Okay. Can I do this? Do I matter? Do I have a choice? Do I belong? Let me just read it because it's not recorded. Am I loved? Am I worthy? Am I safe? Am I being heard? Can I do this? Do I matter? Do I have a choice? Do I belong? Okay, these are the things that are going on underneath the iceberg, and we don't see it because we don't have our X-ray vision goggles. We just see the behavior. We want to fix the behavior. We want to manipulate the behavior. We want to punish the behavior. We want to reward the behavior, right? But underneath, that's what's going on. Did you know you're coming like to a class today and like, come on, let me go. So, anyways, so let's go to the next one. So usually we have 3 buckets that need to be filled for a person to be happy and intrinsically motivated. There's competence, autonomy, and connectedness, okay? These buckets, when there's a misbehavior, one or more of these buckets are empty for children and for adults, okay? Because we all have children in us. And we have to deposit to these buckets every day for ourselves, and especially for our children, we have to do it. For our spouses, we don't have to, they should do it, okay? And we don't expect them to do it for us. We do it for ourselves, okay? But for children, we do it. Okay, so now I want to demonstrate autonomy. I want everyone, those of you, the class of mine, who know this, please don't do it because I don't want people to get ideas. I want you to push your right palm to your left palm like this, as I'm doing. Push your right palm as hard as you can. Push your right palm to your left palm. I don't see anyone doing it right. Yes, one person. I see one person doing it right. She did like this or like this. Why? Because I didn't say push back with your left palm. Okay? Okay? I said push your right hand to your left hand. Okay? What does it say? It says that we intrinsically want to push back if you're pushed. Okay? So no one in this world, actually, Arayeh, I heard this from you. No one in this world wants to be told what to do. No one. Okay? And if you have children, we kind of treat them as slaves, kind of, right? We shouldn't. I'm sorry. That's, again, my mentor's words. Very harsh. My mentor is very harsh. Anyway, so now for connectedness, so for autonomy, we give choices. For example, you want to do this now or, I don't know, in 10 minutes, something like that. So we create 2 choices. That's how we feel the autonomy. For competence, we give tasks to people. We do stuff for ourselves, so we feel competent, right? So if you have a choice, if you're accomplishing something, we feel good, right? Competent, autonomous. For connectedness, spend at least 10 minutes with yourself and with your loved ones. Kiss them and hug them for 20 seconds. Keep the hug for 20 seconds. This is research. 20-second hugs secretes the hormone of oxytocin and makes you happy, okay? 20 seconds. Now, next time, say, this is my assignment. Like, I know it's very, very awkward at the beginning, okay? Just keep it for 20 seconds. I promise you it will pay off, okay? And for couples, 20-second French kiss. And every day, okay? Every day. And assign it. I know it sounds awkward at the beginning, but it builds up. The hormones build up. It's really cool. Say it. I'm doing it for the sake of science, okay? Okay. So overall, we cannot, when we expect someone to do something or say something, it's like we are expecting a cat to bark. Literally, every time you expect anyone to do anything, I'm not exaggerating. Okay? It's like you need to go to their brain and change the wiring. You can't do that unless you're an ant-man. So, okay? So when you expect anyone or anything to be different or for people to do anything differently, it's like you're expecting a cat to bark. Don't do it. That's a good mantra, okay? I actually wanted to call my book that. But then I thought people would think it's about cats and dogs and I'm a vet or something. So it was a bad choice, probably. All right, so now the last step is E, eliminate fear and proceed with love and compassion boundaries. And we are so bad at this because we want to please people. We don't have good self-care, and we do all these things out of fear. So first step, eliminate fear, because fear has no place here. Oh, that rhymes. I love it. Fear has no place here. unless it's like a real emergency, right? Again, if your child wants to touch the stove, that's real fear, okay? But most of them, no, they're not. They're real, actually. So here, at any moment in time, we can operate from two states, love or fear. Ourselves too, again, you correct me if I'm wrong. Our cells, they can either be in fear mode, fighting disease and stuff, or creativity and growth, okay? So at any moment in time, we have two states. So we have to become aware. This is the art of living in joy. Become aware. Oops, I'm on fear. I'm going to use my tools to go to love. Okay? So let's go to the next slide. So some of the things that are fear-based: negative self-talk, chronic worry, rage, guilt, shame, judgment, resentment, unhealthy foods, screen time, compulsion, okay? And the oxytocin hormone-making stuff, hugs and kisses, gratitude, mindfulness, time in nature, healthy food, physical activity, service, doing service is amazing, creativity, play, and choice, when you have a choice. So throughout the day, we want to pick a lot of the red square, because the more you do this, again, our brain is wired for fear, okay? We know that by now. So throughout the day, this is the art. Oops, I'm in fear. Let me choose some things from the love column and just shift my energy, you see? This is the art of living in joy. And the more we do this, the more brain gets wired for positivity, love, peace, compassion, creativity, growth, right? This is the art. Because if you think it's like a switch, I read this book, I went to that class, or I did one meditation, it's not going to work. It's a journey. Becoming aware, oops, I'm fear, literally you have to say oops. Otherwise you feel guilty. Oh no, darn it, I paid so much money for that retreat, and you're saying, oops, I'm human. I went to fear again. Oops. Which tool from my tool belt I'm going to use to shift my energy? And the more you do this, the more you stay there. But then don't expect anything at all, because life is a flow. It's not a stagnant. If everything was perfect, don't you think life would be so boring? We don't want that. Okay, so now boundaries, okay? Boundaries, it's so important. That self-care bucket or that connectedness bucket, we need to fill it. We don't expect anyone to fill it, okay? So when I want to say no, I don't say yes. Or when I want to say yes, I don't say no. Okay? So boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously, okay? Be careful if you're a giver, if be careful why you're doing it. Is it your inner child who wants to be approved? Mom, love me. Because literally we project our parents onto everyone. I swear, everyone. Okay? It's like everyone is our parents. Because that's the voice of our parents we lived with. The amount that everything got soaked in, 95% of our life got wired until 7 years old of our belief system, okay? So now, I want to give you good news. You don't have to make anyone happy. You like that? Say it to yourself. I don't need to make anyone happy, okay? The main reason we get triggered is because we want to do something to make someone happy and we can't, or we're just, and we go, why do you do this? Like, right? I want to make my child happy to eat, to give her, 10 ice cream, but I don't want to. Now I get triggered. I want to make her happy because she wants 10 ice creams, right? For example. But I don't need to make her happy, okay? But I can sympathize and empathize. Oh, I know you want ice cream, I know. You want something sweet? Let me kiss you. Let me give you a sweet kiss. Literally. Because there you go. So here's the thing. For those of us who have emotional eating, that's what we're going for. Sweetness. So let's have a sweet experience. It doesn't have to be food, for example. Right? So we have to become aware. Whatever we do we do because we want to make ourselves happy and avoid pain. Now, the best way is to use those red ones. Michael, can you go back one? Yeah, do the red ones to make ourselves happy instead of doing the shopping and the junk food, because the result is the same. You feel better. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if you want to do something to make like junk food or whatever, if in that moment you say, for example, I'm going to go hang out with my friend, then you won't need to eat junk food, right? I want to give you an example. My daughter really loved sugary stuff, right? And at some point she wanted icy. And I said, oh, you want something sweet? Let me give you a sweet kiss. And I kissed her. I swear to God, she forgot the icy. She doesn't remember now, but she forgot because she wanted to make herself feel good, okay? All right, so now boundary is empathy, as I said, and then boundary. So if you set the boundary, there's gonna be this. Do you remember? We don't want this. So we empathize. Oh, I know, it could, I switched to first. No, I would say, I wish I could do that for you. I know, I'm so sorry. I wish I could help you, but I have to do this. So you're empathizing, you're making the person feel seen. There are 4 S's people are looking for. Seen, safe, soothed, and secure. That's all we're looking for, all of us. Seen, safe, soothed, and secure. So with our words, we can make people feel that way, okay? And then we set the boundary. So I want to give you a challenge when you go home. I want you to write a list of what brings you joy. Fill your cup first, okay? Fill your cup first. I want you to have a list, 5 things you can do every day, 5 things you can do every week, 5 things you can do every month that brings you joy. And I want you to have like at least 1 or 2 or 3 things every day. Like if you like to knit, if you like to dance, if you want, do it every day, okay? This is a very difficult task, I'm telling you. Will you go for it? Yes? Will you pledge? So write a list that brings you joy, again, every day, every week, every month. So something that can be done every day, something that can be done every week and every month, okay? All right, so now we're done. So I'm gonna read a page from the last section called Last Words, page 252. It starts with a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. Mindfulness helps you fall in love with the ordinary. Okay. A man was passing by a dog that was moaning with pain. He asked the owner about the reason. The owner replied, he's sitting on a nail. The man astonishingly asked, why is he not moving then? The owner responded, because the nail is not hurting him enough. We're kind of addicted to pain, okay? We are. There will be a time in our lives that our pain becomes unbearable, regardless of how many checkboxes we checked and how many band-aids we applied on our inner wounds. This is the tipping point when we have no choice but to move from our comfort zone and reflect on our life on a deeper level. This is not a moment to mourn or feel ashamed, but a moment for celebration. If something is coming up, it's coming up to leave. This is a shaman saying. This is not a time to label ourselves with disorders and diseases. It's our time for a great awakening, Center for Spiritual Awakening. The time to shed our past and learn a new way of living with unconditional joy and peace. When we learn the art of living in joy, P.A.U.S.E, we know that nothing and no one has the power to make us happy or unhappy, unless we give them the permission to do so. Because everything is between our ears. We know that we feel what we feel because we identify with our thoughts and we believe our stories and interpretations. We know that what we feel in the current moment is a regurgitated experience from the past. Until we P.A.U.S.E and heal the past, we repeat the emotional pattern. We know our triggers keep vexing us until we have deconstructed them. We know all our life experiences are here to help us learn our unlearned lessons, and that life is an upward spiral of learning, relapsing, and relearning. We know that we don't have control over people and events, but we definitely have control over how we can respond to people and events, both internally and externally. When we look at everyone and every event as a means for our evolution and growth, we become humble students, and our life becomes a purposeful school. They are showing us our past wounds and fear-based conditioning. We must thank them and get to work. So again, one more thing, on page 260, is an ancient Nahuatl blessing. I love this blessing. I thought I would include it. I release my parents from the feeling that they have already failed me. I release my children from the need to bring pride to me, that they may write their own ways according to their hearts that whisper all the time in their ears. I release my partner from the obligation to complete myself. I do not lack anything. I learn with all beings all the time. I thank my grandparents and forefathers who have gathered so that I can breathe life today. I release them from past failures and unfulfilled desires, aware that they have done their best to resolve their situations within the consciousness they had at that moment. I honor you, I love you, and I recognize you as innocent. I am transparent before your eyes, so they know that I do not hide or owe anything other than being true to myself and to my very existence. That walking with the wisdom of the heart, I am aware that I fulfilled my life purpose, free from the invisible and visible family loyalties that might disturb my peace, happiness, which are my only responsibilities. I renounce the role of savior. Who has the role of savior here? Tons of us, right? Of being one who unites or fulfills the expectations of others. Learning through and only through love, I bless my essence, my way of expressing, even though somebody may not understand me. I understand myself because I alone have lived and experienced my history. Because I know myself, I know who I am, what I feel, what I do, and why I do it. I respect and approve of myself. I honor the divinity in me and in you. We are free. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to have Q&A if you'd like to stay before we book sign, a couple of minutes. And the mic can go around. Any questions? Yes, Mike. Where is the mic? Mona. Thank you. It's not on.
Well, in the interest of time, you didn't talk about this, but narcissism, right? Not that grandiose sort, but the sort that's the pleaser, right? David is very generous with me, and he brings me coffee and breakfast, and and it's all very wonderful. And I always like to acknowledge him. Thank you, honey. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, I love the spices in the omelet. And I wonder, it feels authentic to me. And I think he receives it with authenticity. But I wonder, being raised by classically pathological narcissists, how much in me is about acknowledging the other when they contribute to keep that narcissist in line?
That's a very beautiful question. So it's kind of advanced, huh? So at the beginning, 8 years ago, my mentor, Dr. Shafali, when I went to her conference, she asked us not to clap. She said, when you clap, you're doing it for yourself. So that put everything in perspective for me. So again, we are very convoluted creatures, and that's a very complicated question as well. So check in with your heart, in my opinion. So again, do it for him because you are honoring him. Yes. So just check in, connect. So there's this exercise in the book. I haven't mentioned it here, but at any moment in time, when we do enough pauses, P.A.U.S.E, and we just put our hand here and put it here and just take a deep breath. And any question you have, just ask your higher self. It will come in 5 seconds. This is a scientific method. In 5 seconds. So in that moment, ask yourself, is it about him? Is it about me? Where is it like? And then go with the yumminess. I never say good or bad. As Rumi says, out beyond the wrongdoing and the right doing, there is a field. I meet you there, which means there is no right or wrong, okay? That yummy feeling, it's expanded, it's beautiful. So when you feel that, just go for it. Awesome. Any questions? Yes.
Hey, thank you so much. I have to say thank you. Okay?
You're welcome.
My question is, if you don't mind, how long do you work as engineer, and how and when did you do the transition from being an engineer, mathematics, science, into this field, which is,
completely the opposite. Yeah. So
yeah,
I'm trying to balance my two. Yes.
It's an inspiration for everybody, to make this transition and to have the courage. And I'm sure you have a wonderful family who supported you, because without support, it's going to be like Italians say, molto difficile. So that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So as if you read the book, you will see that I chose the engineering and the math and physics major is because of the conditioning of the society. Like either, like in my culture, you either have to be an engineer or a doctor. That's it. Okay, you have two choices. So I hated blood, the sight of blood, so I chose that path. So, and then when I came to Canada, I first went to Canada, so I'm originally from Iran. I didn't mention that. I'm originally from Iran. So when I went to Canada, it was a .com wave, where like computer is so hot. So when I got there, although I loved astronomy, I didn't go for astronomy. I said, oh, no, it's the societal conditioning. So there, back home, is a familial conditioning. And now it's a societal and economical conditioning, right? So I chose that. And then my master's degree, that was 8 years ago. And then when I resigned, it was serendipitous. Like I didn't mean to change at all. So I had time. Okay, let me tell you the story. I put it in the book. I always wanted to watch the movie Secret. Who's watched it? The Secret, right? So I'm like, oh, now I have time. So I started watching The Secret. And then these ads pop up, right? So one of these ads was a company that gave life coaching services. So I called and I got their services. And after some time, they said, why don't you become a life coach? I'm like, maybe that's it. So I got my life coaching certificate. But then I found out because I'm Canadian, I cannot have like my own business. So that's why I went to my PhD and got a PhD in psychology, and everything fell from there. So I would say you are absolutely right. The support is very important, but I also put it in the book. It's when you want something, that's what Rumi says. When you want something, it means you deserve it and you already got it. You just need to expedite it. So if you feel I want something, I already have it. And then the universe, as Paulo Coelho says, is the universe conspires to make it happen. You see what I'm saying? So it's not the other way around. Oh, the condition is here, so I'll do this. No, I wanted to do this, and the conditions were ready. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of a dance between the universe and me and us. We co-create the universe like that. I think this universe is a universe of intentions. Unfortunately, all of these intentions are unconscious. Do you remember? And we call it fate. Now we have to consciously intend. Every morning, start with gratitude. Have that intention, I want to have a positive day. Okay? That will it's like from quantum science, there's like, I don't know, millions of possibility. Because of your intention, you pick a possibility that is aligned with that intention. So if you don't intend consciously, unfortunately, the unconscious intentions drive the path. See what I'm saying? Yeah. Yes.
That pushback exercise that you did really resonated with me, and I've been trying to make some healthy habit changes, and I've been noticing that pushback in myself where I'm, instead of getting better, it's this like rebellion almost, like trying to get worse. So what do you recommend in that pushback scenario, not liking being told what to do? How do we get our like inner child or our others, all ourselves on board to do a thing we're trying to do?
So for any case, you need to P.A.U.S.E. You need to go through the steps, because if you don't go through the steps, if I tell you one thing, that's just symptom management. You see what I'm saying? We don't want symptom management. It's just the 5%. So you have to go search, where is this coming from? Why am I getting triggered? Which memory is it triggering in me? There's a childhood memory for sure, okay? So now you take care of, this is the expression, you reparent your inner child. Thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, you're good enough, you don't have to worry, go play. Then see what's going on. Maybe the trigger's all gone. If not, then you set the boundary. How do you set the boundary? Again, with E, you empathize with the other person. You try to see their perspective, that's S. And now you say, I know that you wanted to do this, I'm sorry, and but this works for me. You see what I'm saying? So you're making them feel seen, safe, soothed, and secure. You're empathizing with them, you're soothing them. Because let me tell you, whatever people do want from you, they don't want that. They just want to be seen. Okay? So imagine you go out, see people, not as adults, see them, small people, with big signs that says, see me. Okay? See each other like that. There's nothing else. This is the bottom line. And when we come from that place, when we are soothing ourselves, our inner child, because no one else can do that. Our parents didn't know how to do it. They lost their chance. Our spouses, they don't know because they already have an unseen child inside. So we are responsible. Make ourselves feel seen, safe, soothed, and secure. And now we can actually eliminate fear and proceed with compassionate boundaries. You're welcome. Any more questions? Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For opening your heart to consciousness and sharing your love. And it's just, I feel so much love coming from you. Thank you. And thank you for being part of this wonderful center.
Thank you.
Every week, your smile just radiates. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I wanted to say that first. And I wanted to ask you, as far as you said, putting that intention out, starting your day in gratitude and doing a daily, a weekly, a monthly. And then are there certain times that you suggest as checking in throughout the day to keep that intention alive?
Absolutely. So I mentioned at the beginning, at least 3 times a day. So put a reminder. At the beginning, my coach told me to actually pause every hour. Ooh, every hour I had to pause and ask myself, how do I feel? And I'm like, at the beginning, the first week, I'm, what is he talking about? How do I don't know, bad, mad, sad. That's it. We know a couple of things, right? But guess what? There are hundreds of feelings out there. You can Google the list. So I had to journal it. I had to journal at the beginning. How do I feel? Is it frustration? Is it devastation? Is it loneliness? What is it? We don't know. This is, as I said, this is the hardest. If we know how to do this, we're good to go, literally. Because all our problems come from suppressed feelings. So at least 3 times a day, ask yourself or do mindful breathing. And also, there is another exercise in the book. I call it the joy exercise, where when you just feel, you do a pause, so you feel your feelings and all the ickiness are out, is out, and then you rate yourself from 0 to 10. 10 being the most joyful. Let's do the exercise right now. Okay, close your eyes, maybe that's better. From 0 to 10, rate yourself where you are in joy, peace, gratitude. 10 being the most joyful, the most grateful, the most awesome. Rate it. Okay, shouldn't take too long, okay? Give me numbers. Give me a number. Okay. Don't be shy. I can say 3. I don't mind. My inner child is okay. Okay, now, I want you to close your eyes again, and I want you to use either gratitude or all the tools that you have learned. Gratitude is the best. I'm grateful for my right hand. Literally, every morning I say I'm grateful that I'm living in America, because I remember when I was in Iran, I wanted to come here. I remember when I was in Canada, I wanted to come here. So I really cherish that, and I pull myself up to 10, okay? So I want you to use that kind of thing. Pull yourself to 10. Do not open your eyes if you're not 10. You can do you remember the lemon? That's the power of the thought. Pull yourself up to 10. Go. Go, go. Close your eyes. Go. Pull up. Don't open your eyes until you're 10. Good. They got it. You got it. You got it. Pull it up. Everyone is 10? No? Okay, pull it up. You can do it. You can do it. Feel your feelings. You know, if there are thoughts and stuff, any stress points, you just imagine there's a tray, put them on the tray, say, you can wait, I'll get back to you. And pull yourself up. Remember, between your ears. Everything resides between your ears. Okay? And remember, your brain is wired for negativity. We have a negativity bias because it's protecting us. It finds the worst possible scenarios. So put them on a tray and then go read the book and take care of the tray later. Okay, everyone is 10? Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you. Now we can go have some snacks and some book signing. Thank you.